able to make anything new because it's the same program over and over. It's the same loop. So I would think that most likely that, do you remember that movie called, oh, I may have to go. Oh, no, I have time. Okay. Remember that movie called Moonfall? What was it called? Moonfall, y'all? Do you guys remember the name? Was it called Moonfall? Can someone remember the name? It was a really good movie, right? Babette, it was, okay. It was Moonfall. I want you to remember what it did to everybody. Maybe, okay, so can we put that on the list, everybody? You have a weekend? Everyone, I want you to put on the list Moonfall. If you've not watched it, you're going to realize that you're about to be psyoped by the Shinwa and most likely India. Because I actually think India has the technology. I don't think you get props. Big up to the Indians because y'all don't even know. This is the problem with the United States. They hide everything from you. The fact of the matter is, do you realize that India has higher, more advanced time technology than everyone put together? Why do you think all of your technical companies go through India? Do you realize that? Like, you've been thinking that they're just ooga booga, like Africans, ooga booga, ooga booga, because you don't get that, because they don't want you to know that they're going to be utilized to bring in certain technology that you don't even have the idea that they even conceptually that they could create. Indian people, and India has some of the highest, most advanced technology. Even I would even say even beyond China. And remember, they're like this. Okay, so let's get into that. I'm going to get into a lot of things. I got a little time. I got a little shenanigans. Is everybody in? Okay. You in for it? I'm going to give it to you all because I don't come in here very often. So I'm going to try to give you as much as I can to give you all the information. So I hope you're ready. So I'm going to give you a little bit more too. Another fun fact. Okay. Another fun fact is that, do you know that Russia has just invited quite a few countries in to get citizenship, temporary citizenship, up to 3 years? Did some of you know that? Let's see if you know why, because I surmise the reason. But do you know why? Do you understand? So I think, do you want me to read you the list? Would you guys like to hear the list? Let me read you a list. I took the notes on this, okay? So let me read you the list, y'all. Let me give it to you. I'm up for the shenanigans today. I hope you have time today. Do you have time today? Please do the like in the video if you're up for the shenanigans today. I'm going to talk about the villains and the psyop and the spiritual predators. We're going to get back to them because we're not going to let them off the hook. Okay? Because I want some of you to be more cognizant and more self-aware and more self-protective right at this time. We're at the end of the game, the end of a cycle. It's about to be on and popping in a couple of months. I'm actually in less than 30 something days. Okay? So I want you to be really present and omnipresent. Okay? And not be prey to people that are using your woes, your sadness, your depression, and your lack of self-awareness as a way to get a payday. Okay, so we're going to talk about them in a minute. I have not let them off the hook. And I'm not talking about just men. I'm talking about females as well. Okay, the spiritual community is full of charlatans and people who prey on people from their own communities. Okay, generally that's what they like to do because they have easier access to people who look like them. So it makes sense, right? But be careful, because when someone is elevating themselves with your pain and your lack of awareness and then making you pay for that, you got to be careful, because you're taking on the karma of that, and they're going to take on the karma of that if they're real. Okay, so we're getting on that. But I'm going to name the countries right now because we're going to discuss this. It's very important right now. We're at the end of the simulation, y'all. We're at the end of the simulation. Okay, so let me, okay, here we go. Where is it? Okay, so Russia has labeled anyone who wants to come from these particular countries that they named. Now, remember, I want to add some things to this because it will bring more credence to when I tell you why I think they're doing it. Okay, Russia is part of the BRICS. The BRICS countries are India, China, Brazil, South Africa, right? South Africa, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and there's other countries that have signed on recently. Okay, I want to just label those countries. Listen to the main countries: Brazil, India, China, and South Africa. Just keep that in mind, just those countries. Just keep that, because I'm going to go back to that. So these are the requirements they have for you to go into Russia, that they say that you can go in, but you have to uphold certain ethical and moral values. So they say they won't allow people coming in who are imposing destructive, neoliberal ideological attitudes that contradict traditional Russia. Okay, if you are a homosexual, you're not allowed to come in. If you are a transsexual, you aren't welcomed in the country. And coming in the country for this particular invitation, you, unfortunately, like the United States didn't do, you have to get a medical screening. You can't come in there with diseases and mass destruction. If you've got monkey balls in your balls and in your butt, you aren't allowed to come into Russia. If you got cucarachas in your lungs, in your foot, in your foot, they're not letting you come in the country. Okay, so if you got anything going on, herpes simplex 45, you aren't allowed to go into Russia. They're going to do a medical screening on you, and they're screening to make sure you're not going to bring diseases, mass destruction, and infect their people. I think it's actually smart, because any country who loves their citizens, that's exactly how they should do it. That's how you know the United States is a psychopathic circus, because they just letting everybody in. And I don't want to even talk about the sexual deviant diseases coming in this country, but you know. Okay, so we're going to talk about the countries. Let me read off the countries, y'all. The first country is Australia, Austria, Albania, Andorra, the Bahamas. Now, Bahamas is only on there, y'all, because if you've gone to the Bahamas, you realize when you're going out of the country that the Russians are actually the ones that you go through out of when you do your exit out of Bahamas. I don't think some of you know unless you travel to the Bahamas. Belgium, Bulgaria, Great Britain, including the crown possessions of the British Crown and British overseas territories, Germany, Greece, Denmark, Ireland, Iceland, Spain, Italy, Canada, Cyprus, Latvia, Lithuania, Liechtenstein, I think I'm pronouncing it correct, Luxembourg, Malta, Micronesia, Monaco, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Republic of Korea, Romania, San Marino, North Macedonia, Singapore, Slovenia, United States of America, Taiwan, China, at the Crane. I don't know. Does anyone know at the Crane what that means? Can someone let me know what that the Crane is? I don't know what that is. It's the first time I hear Fear Iha. I've never heard of that. France, Croatia, Montenegro, Czech Republic, Switzerland, Sweden, Estonia, and Japan. Now, does anyone off the back know what most of these countries have in common? Let's see if some of you know. What do some of these countries have in common to Russia and in connection to Russia? Let's see. Well, they're in the Western world. That's not it. Anybody? Let's see if anyone knows. Someone said they kicked out Bill Gates. No. Okay. I'm going to wait. Let me see if anybody else says it. I'm looking for that notorious word. What are they all part of? I'm going to say, what are they all a part of? Okay, not BRICS. You close. Yeah, you're right there. What are most of these countries a part of? Woo! Ding, ding, ding. We got it. We got one already. Cece did it. Okay, Cece said it. They're part of NATO. They're part of NATO. And you say to yourself, why does that matter? I've got fur all over myself. Okay. They're part of NATO. And why does that matter, y'all? The majority of them are part of NATO. So why would Russia give an invitation specifically to some of the citizens of countries that are considered to be their enemies? Because NATO is the reason why Russia is in Ukraine right now, because of the agreement that was violated for them not to encroach they're around them too closely, and there was a violation of NATO. So why is it that none of the BRICS countries are on there and only NATO countries are on there? Okay, I'm going to tell you my theory. I actually think that Russia, to exonerate itself from full karmic debt, is deciding that the countries that they're inviting in, which are from their enemy country, to allow the citizens that are upholding certain values, ethics, and morality and spiritual, a higher spiritual, evolvement. Let's just say that they're inviting them because they're about to blow them up. They're about to be destroyed. They're about to destroy Russia, and their cronies are about to decimate and destroy all of those NATO countries. So they're giving people the opportunity, and they are exonerating themselves from karma to allow people who are morally just, who don't agree with what their governments are doing to other nations, to have the opportunity to leave now or forever hold their peace. That's my take. Because if you look at the countries like France, because I still have family there, Ireland, is Ireland on there? I don't think Ireland. Yeah, Ireland was on there. All the US. Look at where all of the people that are being incepted with all these immigrants. Why would a country invite immigrants from hostile nations into their country? What reason would you have to do that? Why in all of the European countries that are NATO affiliates, why are they inviting hostile immigrants in their countries and letting these immigrants come in with hostility towards their citizens? Why would a country do that? For destruction. Okay, so Russia knows this, so they're giving solace. At first I thought it was for Ukraine, because you got a whole group of Daros going over to Ukraine right now, setting up shop. So I thought, initially I thought Russia was doing this so that they know that the Ukrainian Daros are going to need a food source, so they were going to invite other people over there so that they could feed them to the wolves, okay, so to speak. But I don't think that anymore. After I saw the list and I found out that the list was all the hostiles to Russia, and Russia is giving an opportunity, it's almost like saying, put up your white flag. Remember back in war, put up your white flag. Come over. If you're healthy and you're coming from values like our country, you are welcome to come here before we blow you out of the stratosphere. Okay, so I would suggest, please do not go to Russia thinking that you're going to smoke weed, because they remember that chick, that man chick who went over there and she got arrested for bringing weed over there. You got to be drug free. You can't be if you'd like to drink vodka, I think they'll let you come in. Vodka. They like to drink vodka. But if you are a drug pusher, you got to take Adderall every day. You on drugs, you can't kick the can. They're not going to let you go there. Okay? You got to be drug free, uphold certain moral values. You can't go over there putting butt plugs in your butt or trying to put in your neighbor's butt. Anal sex is probably outlawed. I'm just saying, if you're trying to do, they have a 3-year accelerated program to fast track people into Russian citizenship. Okay, and they are also doing screenings for everybody going on there. And I'm going to tell you, I already know some people who are in the process. And all I will say to you is that be careful, because if you have any addictions, you just going to have a short term there. Okay, you got to go there with upholding yourself to a certain moral standard. And also, please check your Chinese astrology animal, because Russia is the goat. So if you are an enemy to the goat, I don't know if some of you uphold yourself to feng shui, Asian astrology, but if you are an enemy to the goat, you should not go there. Okay, so what are the enemies to? Who's the enemy to the goat in Chinese astrology? I forgot who it was. If you're the enemy of the goat, this is not a country for you. If you do your astrocartography and you had reverse Chiron lines in there, you shouldn't go there. Check your astrocartography before you go, and check your your Chinese astrology animal to make sure it's not an enemy country. Okay, so just that's a FYI. I'm not encouraging anyone to go, but I'm letting you know Russia's about to do something. They're getting buck wild, and they're giving people the opportunity to leave. Now you already know I'll be in South America, chilling with maracuja juice, watching from a distance. So, so I just want to put that out there. The list, Russia's doing this. I would pay attention. And if you don't want to stay here right now, they're giving a lot of encouragement. And that, I think if you uphold a certain moral value that is likened to Russia, Russians are a little colder. So if you're like a happy-go-lucky person, but they're very fair and balanced. As far as I know, Russians, very fair and balanced people. If you can live in the cold, if you don't mind putting on the big fuzzy hats, I like the big fuzzy hat. The big fuzzy hats, if you're okay going there, I suggest, because I'm telling you, United Fakes, I told you a long time ago, you need to leave. United Fakes is done, y'all. It's been sold, it's been bartered, and it's been split into different pieces. The Chinois owned a part of it. I think the Chinois own most of the United Fakes. The previous United Fakes, can someone tell me the real name? I think it's called Nihai Kalan. I don't know what it's called. And the India owns another portion of it. And how do you know this? And you know that I'm not crazy, is that I want you to look at how many Indian ethnicities have shown up in the election, though that's supposedly the smallest population here. How do you have so many Indians that are in arena in politics when it's supposed to be a small number of people? It's because it's been purchased, bought, and sold by the Indians. This is their country. So they're putting people in political power that uphold their values and their ethnicity. Okay? And why you don't hear that from other channels? Because most likely they're NPCs. Okay, so let's go into the predators of the communities personally, I think a lot of the predators that are online pushed on social media are being protected and progenerated as a distraction and also as a trick or a trap. Trick or treat, a trick or trap. It's like a trick or treat. Okay? So the fact of the matter is that if one is not self-aware, they aren't doing the work themselves. They want a cheat sheet. They want to go through other people to do the work that they themselves are very qualified to do. If they take the time, start to be more patient, start to work on those aspects of self that need to be refined and to clear past trauma, whatever it is, you could do that yourself. Okay? But a lot of the predators online are placed there and supported and progenerate. And how you know is that they never get anything taken offline. They're never attacked. And, over the years on YouTube, many of you know me for many years. I've been on YouTube since 2011. And my channel has been perpetually, it has a bullseye on it. And I'm just a mom from Mount Vernon. I can't imagine what I say that could possibly be worthy of being targeted. But what I did note is that all of my amazing YouTubes that were deleted, demonetized, vilified, or just basically blocked, a lot of these people were telling truths that weren't being perpetuated through the other parts of the community. So when you hear about things like the pole shift, how come no one's talking about that? How come I'm one of very few who acknowledge that during and before reset or right after it, we have a huge pole shift that clears up the entire planet? Now, many of you heard about the mud floods, right? Titarian societies, we talk about the Titarian buildings. And when you see these huge buildings and some of the floors are missing because they're all under mud, layers of mud that would have taken a long time to happen over a period of time. How come no one's speaking about that? When did those mud floods happen? No one talks about the fact that you'll look on maps, really old maps, and you'll see land masses that used to exist that don't exist anymore. Or there's holes and canals where it used to be full land masses. Why do you see changing of names? Why back in, what was it, the Moors? Any Moors in here? What about the Moors? What about the fact that the United States capital used to be Morocco? That doesn't concern you? Like, how come when we were in high school, they didn't tell us that Morocco was the capital of the United States at one point? Why would a foreign country be a capital in another part of the world unless Morocco was in the United States when it used to be called something else? You got to ask yourself those questions. Okay? So when we talk about terms of the pole shift, at the end of the simulated game, you will always have three main factors. It's probably four, but I'll name three. the first thing that you'll notice, they'll always have a pandemic. Now, the pandemic usually is accompanied with a world war. So if you go back to World War I, II, Korean War, other wars, you're going to notice that there's two factors that are always working in sync with one another. A pandemic and also, what does she say? Frosty, Frost. Come here, Frosty. Leave Fire alone. No, you're not to come up here, Fuzzface. Okay? Look at it. That's mother and daughter. That's Lola, and this is Frost. You see Frost? That's her daughter. Her daughter's wild. Yeah, you see her? She's wild. Okay? Always during the time of World War, you have two accompanying factors. So what usually happens before a pole shift is you have a pandemic, you have a world war that accompanies, that hides and cloaks the amount of deaths, because you always associate it with the war. But really, it's the pole shift that clears off the entire planet for most breathing human beings. The pole shift, you're not supposed to really be here. There's only going to be a handful of soul beings that may be here, and then they'll geoengineer babies, the mud flood children, the Cabbage Patch children, that they grow in incubators that they have underneath the grounds right now in little petri dishes. Waited. Remember when what's his name said test tube babies? He was like, "You a test tube baby." Who is that again? What's his name? Remember, you'd be like, "You test tube baby." He wasn't lying. Because there are people here that are generations of mud flood people, of incubating children. Did you ever see the orphan trains, y'all? When they talk about the old societies, all these children on trains going into these cities. Robert Harris, he was so funny. Test tube baby. You a test tube baby.